Hello, everybody. It's Tim here again, here with another movie review. This time for the new movie Run, Hide, Fight. This movie has been causing a lot of controversy because it's about like a school shooting, and I believe like this was made by like maybe a political company or some guy who's in like right-wing politics had something to do with it. Really, just watching this as a movie, forgetting all that, and just watching it as a movie, which is how you should view it. There's really nothing like really controversial about it. Yeah, it's about like a school shooting thing or whatever, but it doesn't treat like it does. It does it mostly respectfully. It doesn't treat like the school shooting thing as like a joke or whatever, an action movie glitch joke. Like this is an action flick in the vein of Die Hard. It's about a girl whose mom pretty much died, and they don't really give you information on how she died, but you get the idea that it's from cancer. When it shows like the beginning of the movie or whatever, they don't even her. You can see her mom like standing in the same room with her and her dad, and you don't even really know why she's depressed yet. So you don't. She's just randomly standing there. She's like, oh, she has two parents, but then later on you forgot her mom actually died, and she's just been hallucinating the whole time. So the beginning kind of catches you off guard. And you see a scene at the beginning where she like shoots this deer with her dad. He's played by Thomas Jane. Does a good job here. I liked him, and the main girl does a great job. She's really good here. And she shoots the deer, and her dad's like, well, you got to finish it or just bleed out and suffer. And she just hits it with the head with a rock and just kills it like no problem. You can tell she's like desensitized to everything going on because of the passing of her mom. And she like hallucinates her at random points in the movie. Part of me felt like you didn't really need that, but the other part of me was like, it's kind of an interesting character idea. It kind of works. Problem with it though is like partway through the movie, she just pops in like her mom does and just totally explains like the obvious character plot, like right on the nose, like literally just says it. Like there's part of the movie where her mom like you see her like she's bald and stuff, and you get the idea that she's died of cancer. And later on in the movie, after she's like kicked some ass, her mom shows up with hair and starts looking more normal, and she literally spells out like, because you're starting to fight more, you're feeling more alive now, and I'm starting to look better in your mind. It's like you don't have to literally spell that out. As far as like the kids go in this movie, like the kids who are shooting up the school and everything and taking people hostage, like for the most part, they're kind of realistic because like one of the guys, he like confesses like he was picked on all his life or whatever, and pretty much that pushed him over the edge. Which it's not an excuse to kill people or anything, but it makes sense like from a teenager point of view of what kids go through and things like that. But like the main villain or whatever, he would just like monologue over and over, and the actor's acting is fine. He's doing a good job for what he's given, but it never like gives any real information about why this kid went over the edge. It's just like they give like an idea of like he went to the principal's office a bunch of times and literally wanted help before, but they never give you an idea like what is really this guy's problem. I'm like, there's plenty of kids who's in school who did bad things and went to the principal's office and got in trouble multiple times and all that kind of stuff, but they never went to mass shootings. Like there's got to be something more that's pushed this kid over the edge, but they never really explain it. So he just comes off more of just like a generic villain. And like the other dude, like this bigger, slightly bigger guy who's on the dude's team. There's like four like psychopaths in the movie. Like the slightly bigger dude who has a gun, you get the idea that he has mental problems and hears voices. So he's just crazy. He would have blow himself up or something in the future eventually. This dude's just insane. And not to say that all mentally ill people or whatever are dangerous or whatever, because they're not. But, every now and then there's that one guy who is crazy, who is dangerous, and this is one. But he's just crazy. And his sister in the movie or whatever, she's also there killing people as well. She gets took out by the main girl from they get in a fight over the gun, and she managed to shoot her in the head. And she pukes afterwards after shooting her because it's her first time actually killing a real human being, so that's a realistic reaction from a teenager. But they never give a reason for why she's there. Like she doesn't seem to have the mental problems like her brother does, so they never really explain it. So she's just kind of there. More information on some of the other characters, like the main guy and that girl, would have benefited to help strengthen sending a message about kind of disillusioned youth and why they turn to this kind of stuff when they don't get help and all that. I don't know. It would have made them more interesting as characters at least. Even if you weren't trying to really make a statement. And you get the idea that the main dude, has a van rigged with bombs. He's going to blow the school up eventually regardless. Other problems with the movie is he's shooting random people in the cafeteria after he's plowed through the whole side of the cafeteria with a van, and he's shooting random people every couple minutes. And nobody else in the rest of the school seems to hear this, and they don't try to evacuate or anything until the girl's actually going around and having to tell them, hey, somebody's shooting the hell out of everybody in the cafeteria, and they don't hear this or anything. And the other part of it is the girl escapes multiple times, and she has the chance to get away, but she keeps going back in. Part of me is yeah, it's cool that she wants to be heroic and help people, but the other part of me is realistically, she would probably just leave and leave it up to the cops. I mean, let's be honest. But at the same time, though, the girl does a great job. And another thing, Thomas Jane like shows up and they want to make him more a part of the plot, and he has a sniper rifle that he used to take out the deer, and he manages to get like he manages to find like multiple, at least 2 blank spots where he's able to like sniper the kids off. And I'm like, what? If he was able to find these spots that easy, the SWAT team would have like been surrounded and had these spots already with snipers, and realistically they would have, and would have already been there waiting to like blow these kids away. But she managed to actually like capture one guy, and he manages to turn on the group because he realizes that what he's doing is wrong. That was kind of an interesting, cool character arc with the guy. Like, he stops to actually think about logically, like the kids that he shot really didn't have anything to do with him being picked on or anything. So he's just murdering innocent people. So yeah, and you know, he finally comes to his senses and he actually helps the girl and tries to shoot at the main dude, and he manages to hit him, but he gets killed as well. The big guy gets took out by Thomas Jane. Pretty much with these characters, if they're not like super dangerous criminals or anything. I mean, they are criminals and they are dangerous because they got guns, but it's only because like they got guns. They're not like real mastermind criminals or anything, even though this plan is very intricate. They're not like really tough or anything. Like if they didn't have guns, like easily 1-on-1, you'd be able to whoop these kids' asses like no problem. It's just the fact that there's multiple of them. There's 4 of them and they have weapons. That's pretty much it. But she gets to the last dude, and he's like walking off. She takes the van out of the school, and it blows up. And then the last dude, like, you see him walking off with this student or whatever. And then they find like his charred body later, and you get that. Like, I thought in my mind automatically as soon as I seen that, like, this dude has obviously faked his death using that other dude's body. And you get to the twist, and like and she just happens to turn around and see him sneaking off into the woods. I was like, well, that's awful lucky there. And she walks off to find the dude. And she takes her dad's sniper rifle and shoots the dude and wounds him. And instead of killing him with a rock, she acts like she's going to, but she's like, you just let the animal bleed out, you know, call him back to the deer or whatever. That was kind of cool. So she just leaves, and you kind of see, I think you do kind of see the cops run into the woods after they saw her leaving or whatever. So you get the idea that they're going to come over there and either arrest the dude and take him to the hospital, and maybe he'll survive, but he'll go to jail anyway, or he's just going to bleed out and die. I think that's what was happening at the end, because you see the cops like running towards her, like the SWAT team or whatever, like heading into the woods. All in all, I'd give this a 3.5 out of 4. It's not a great movie. It is a bit generic. It's pretty good, though. It's a pretty good time, pretty good action flick. I liked it. I'd watch it again. I'd buy it if I found it for about $10 or $5. It's worth owning if you're into action flicks. The thing with a movie like this about like school shootings, as long as you portray it in a certain, like a non-offensive way, where you're trying to treat it more, in at least a somewhat respectful way, it won't really come off as offensive. The problem with this movie is that school shootings, unlike something like the Holocaust, which is, you know, really horrible as well, it's more in the public vein, in the public eye, like right now. So it's more current. So when people watch it, they feel more sensitive to it. It's just how like human minds operate, instead of like feeling distant from it, because most people today weren't like born around the Holocaust and stuff like that, so they don't really know how horrible it was, or they don't even research it or whatever. But school shootings are like something that's happening today, now that youth is affected by today, so they really know how horrible it is, so they have more of like a personal connection to this kind of thing. So I think that's why some people are getting just automatically offended by this. But as a movie, if you just watch it as a movie, this is a pretty good flick. It's not really offensive or anything. It's worth watching at least once to see how you feel about it, and I think if you can just watch it as a movie, you'll enjoy it. And just, I mean, there's plenty of movies that are based around serious topics. As long as they treat them respectfully, then it's not really a problem. And this movie does a good enough job with it. So all in all, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.